This is the inaugural AIM Arts Academy guest lecture, so thanks everyone for coming. We get a big round for Harry. So Harry is definitely one of the mainstays of Bournemouth club culture, I'd say. He's a DJ, he's a producer, he is a promoter, he does artist development, management. He's a great example of someone who works in music but doesn't just do one thing, and who basically covers a lot of different bases as a way, probably partly as a way of like staying informed, staying in touch with what's happening in the industry. So, Harry, if you could please start off by just telling us, what does your week normally look like?
Well, generally, for the artist management stuff or the mentoring, that's what I've sort of been pushing in recent months, really, sort of since the start of the year. So I actually left being a general manager at the nightclub at the end of, New Year's Eve. That's my final shift. So I sort of shift my focus towards more of the artist management stuff, just because I didn't really I wanted to free up my weekends. I'm getting a bit old. I don't want to be in a nightclub every weekend anymore. As much as I love it, of course. But
so that's partly about lifestyle then, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot. It's just that I've missed out on quite a lot in recent years. You know, I just want to spend a bit more time with my family, friends and stuff. So yeah, that was a kind of the main thing, one of the decisions of leaving there. But so I would sort of then speak to all my students or clients that I have on a Monday and kind of just sort them out with what I need them to do, or just sort of check in with them essentially. And then from there I'll try, and I usually make some music, although the music stuff annoyingly is pushed right to the back of the priority list, unfortunately.
I know what that's like.
And obviously I run events, and that you take some meetings and things like that that usually plan out through the week, as well as I create the artwork for it too, so you have to create assets. I do that we'll probably have an event every 2 months on average, but it takes still quite a lot of planning and things like that. So and then really sort of the rest of the week, again, sort of dedicating time to my clients and just the general sort of mentoring side, which I'm trying to push, and creating content around lots of, as you know, I'm on social media quite often, and trying to create different sort of things that will engage people. Just to sort of further your reach and to reach the right people that you want to sort of, set eyes on you. So
cool. Okay, great. We'll go into each of those in more detail a little bit later. So tell us kind of like, where are you from? Where did you grow up? And how did you first get into music?
Well, I'm from the area I call Bournemouth. I always have been. I did move to London for a little while because I got signed to a big artist agency there, and they were based in London.
Nice.
But I had so much work here, I ended up coming back here all the time, so I decided I'm just going to move back here. Although I love Bournemouth, so, I've got no problem with that.
There's a lot to love.
Yeah, exactly. But I got through into music really with my mum and dad. They were punk, so they're quite alternative, and I never really listened to a typical sort of pop music. It wasn't really in our house, so I was always kind of a bit more tainted in terms of music. And I kind of, my uncle as well at the time, he was big rave promoter since early 90s, so he was doing jungle and drum and bass parties, and I used to go and nick his tapes out of his drawer, and that's why I got into drum and bass at a really young age. I'm talking 6.
Really? Wow. That's young.
Yeah, so I never really sort of went down the usual route of probably what a toddler should listen to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of, I was heavily influenced all the time. I think that's sort of why I make what I make now, really.
Nice. Yeah, I was very influenced by pirate radio growing up in London.
Yeah.
15, 16, I was listening to all these rave stations. I also got a memory of being about 10 and fiddling with the radio dial, finding a station and hearing acid techno in the middle of the day and being like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, I was the only one at school really at the time as well. I had my Walkman, blasting drum bass, and people would be like, what's that? Or get a bit more into it, but I was fully into it. And people would come to me for the tapes, and I'd be sort of the guy who would do that.
Awesome. Okay, so slight turn of all these different activities that you do, which one actually makes the most money for you? And which is the most reliable source of income?
Well, the events stuff has been my most sort of consistent revenue stream, but it's also probably the hardest one to get right as well. just due to it. It's always a gamble to put on. So obviously the time that I've been doing it for 20 years, so you kind of minimise the risks and know where to spend money or where to not, or the good dates in the calendar. So, you know, it's not for everyone, that route. You've got to sort of learn sometimes the hard way with that. But yeah, I mean, that has always been sort of a solid thing throughout the last sort of 20 years for me. But then, like you mentioned earlier, you've got to have lots of different sort of revenue streams as an artist these days.
So they balance out different times of the year.
That's the thing, yeah. And then obviously making music and being a producer, that kind of just ticks over in the background. You know, streams and getting downloads is quite hard these days, but like I say, it's just always sort of there, as well as DJing on top of that. And just it all sort of comes together as like one sort of, you know, it's all the same sort of thing, but random, various revenue streams.
So it's, in this internet day of age, it's still physically bringing people together that actually is what kind of pays the rent reliably, I guess.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, and then when you've got a regular enough calendar, so we'll go into the events a bit later, but yeah, it's really good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. And all these different kind of roles that you do, what would you say are the kind of highs and lows of each? Both from like lifestyle, but also like professional satisfaction.
Yeah, well, the nightclub stuff is obviously, it's a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun. It also can be really hard work as well. Obviously the late nights and working every weekend is not ideal, but like being amongst the party every time, but like, you know, it's a fairly good way to get paid.
I mean, I definitely found working in nightclubs and festivals, when it was good, I loved it.
Yeah.
But when you had to be there and you didn't want to be there, maybe you were a little bit unwell, or maybe the music was rubbish.
Yeah.
You just it's like the worst place you'd want to be.
Yeah, well, I always got told to smile. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. You know, you can't always be like buzzing around the club all the time. But yeah, I mean, I did love working there. I still, you know, if the money was right, I would still go back to working within that sort of scene, I think. But it's the same with the events. I mean, I'd always love to do that, but with the events, you kind of duck in and duck out of a nightclub. You're not there every week. So
you're not part of the furniture.
Yeah, which pretty much was.
And I guess as well with the events, you get to choose which clubs you want to work with.
Yeah, of course. And then, you know, you're not there all night, so it's like I say, you're sort of ducking in, ducking out, and like again, that is really great when it's really good and you're people there and it's good atmosphere and you're making loads of money essentially. And then there's the flip side of that where it's empty and you're making no money and no one wants to be in an empty club. You know, it's horrible, isn't it? Security, staff, DJ, punters, no one wants to be in a dead club. That's just the worst.
It's all on you, isn't it?
Yeah, and you just got to let grin and bear it. Yeah, which is horrible.
Yeah. Then there's a DJ.
DJ wise. Again, that's one of the best jobs in the world, but at the same time, most people are only seeing that 1 hour of the performance, where like a lot of the time there's much more that goes into it. And even in terms of like travelling, if you're playing internationally, it's like there's 24 hours of travelling going around that 1 hour playing. So, you know, it can be quite a lonely job especially when you're touring around the UK or whatever, a lot of time on your own. So, as well as it looks quite glamorous, but it's not always quite the case. But like I say, it's like you play one good gig, it's like you'd be buzzing for weeks off the back of it, and like there's no better feeling than that, really.
Yeah. I know. I felt as a DJ sometimes that a bit at risk if I got booked by someone I didn't know, and I'm travelling quite far, maybe with equipment. I might have a laptop on me, I might have like £2.5 grand worth of gear on me. Someone that I've never met wants me to DJ in a place I've never heard of to people that I don't know. And I'd be a bit worried about being robbed sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
never happened, but
yeah. Well, so you can travel. You know, I've travelled down around Europe. You get someone, there's no one there, and it's like in your mind you're always visualising like being really good, and then you get there and you're just playing to bar stuff. But like I say, it's like you win some, you lose some on some of those. But
totally. And then on the artist development side of things, what are the sort of highs and lows?
Well, really, it's seeing your clients using your knowledge and letting you know the value that they're getting from it, and then getting success from it, and you know you can see them doing well, and that's what really pleases me these days. I get a lot out of that, where you can see them doing well, and you know it making a difference to them. So that's what I really enjoy. Obviously, the flip side to that as well, if it's not quite going so well, lots of the time the clients have got to put a bit more effort themselves, but sometimes that's down to you to motivate them, because not everyone's got the same enthusiasm. Some people just want it in their lap, but yeah, like I say, you've got to put the work in still to get anything out of it.
Yeah, totally. All right, we're now going to deep dive into kind of each section of Harry's career. I want to invite students, anyone, to whip out your phone, get like a sticky note ready, and any questions that you've got, make a note of them. At the end of the session, we're going to have time for students to ask questions. So, we're going to focus on your music artist side of things, and we're going to play a couple of tracks to let people in the room know what you do.
Yeah, I cringe at this every time. I've never got used to it.
So, drum and bass first, or Scarlett?
Go drum and bass.
Drum and bass. Okay, so we'll play it, and then you can skip through it if you want. We play the whole thing, it's up to you, but we'll talk about it afterwards. Cool. Is that tune, everyone? Make some noise for Harry.
Honestly, I cringe at that.
So, what did you make that one?
I made that with Logic. I made that with two guys called Three Mate, with good old friends of mine, a few years ago now. But yeah, I was really proud of that one. It's kind of like that topped all the drum and bass charts at the time.
Okay.
I like it because it's like what I like. It's just like dark, techie sort of drum bass. That's what I got into it for. So it's kind of like representing. If I wanted to show someone what I like, it's like
okay,
I
cool.
was really proud to be able to get that sound out of it.
You're a fan of Ed Rush and Optical by any chance?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sounded like the Wormhole album, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I love all that.
Yeah.
Kind of, that sort of funk that they do.
Yeah.
I think they're a massive inspiration for me.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a big time.
But yeah.
So can anyone hear any chords? Anyone hear a verse or a chorus? No. Don't need that with this kind of music. Basically about really rugged drums and the really like heavy, interesting bass line. It's all about the texture of the bass line and the sound design of the bass line. Is that just one synth or is it layers?
There's a few layers, yeah.
A few layers.
Yeah, and just distorted.
Yeah. So what, have you got like a clean sub-layer, like a distorted mid-range, a distorted
pretty much what
top layer?
Sort of, yeah.
Nice.
Just to get that full like thick sound to it.
Yeah.
And I really like that bass sound. That's like proper.
Yeah, I played this in the car before I asked you to come and speak, and I was like, yes, sick.
Yeah, nice one.
Wicked.
Thank you.
And Harry's got podcasts out there as well, where he plays some of his music, plays music by artists that he likes, talks a little bit about the local scene, talks about his upcoming events, so it's definitely worth checking those out.
If you like that sort of stuff, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I mean, it's a bit dated to sort of some of the modern sort of drum bass there is now, but it's more my niche, really.
I'd say it's pretty timeless. It's a timeless sound. Alright, and then we got this one. What?
More
sinister, yeah.
Yeah, I actually wrote that as a Halloween track, just as a, so yeah. And then I sent it off to a big American label called Dirtybird.
Yeah.
Who, and well, they got back to me. I think it's just because it sounded so different. That's what kind of like piqued the interest. So this one was like a key or turning point in my career because it got signed into Dirtybird.
Yeah.
And like that opened so many doors for me. All sorts of stuff and kind of opportunities. Lots of opportunities I didn't take at the time, which was very silly of me, which I try and tell people not to do anymore.
Okay. What sort of opportunities did you not take?
It was just like I had lots of management firms and press agents and like podcasts and things like that at the time coming up to me and I wanted to do stuff and I was like, nah. For some reason, I was a bit too stuck in my sort of drum and bass ways. I was a bit like, I was
not for me.
Trying to play it too cool.
Right.
Which now I sort of teach everyone, basically don't do what I do.
Yeah.
Because like there's lots of things now I look back on it, there's so many opportunities that come from back. Like every day I was waking up on an email from even like advertisement sort of companies and stuff asking for music from me or like trying to see what I've got. Yeah. Wow. So that's something for that. That was literally like.
That's a pretty dark tune to be like getting people saying, "Hey, can we sing some of your work?"
Yeah, I think just because it sounded so different at the time, I think that's what, like I say, sort of spiked some interest. But like everything I really do, that's sort of still got the drum bass sound to it. Lots of that's my root. All the music I do, even sort of the more down tempo stuff, still's got that kind of like dark sort of element. So it kind of sort of transcends down just naturally. I try and sort of get away from it, but I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was proud of that one. I did really well. Like I said, people went all over the globe that one. Sending videos.
So Dirtybird is Claude Von Stroke's label, and he's big global DJ, California based, I think.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'd love to have a tune out on Dirtybird.
yeah. I mean,
you still sending him your stuff?
Well, yeah. He's actually moved away from the Claude now, but I'd still love to get some more bits on there.
Yeah. Wicked. Okay, cool. I noticed that this one is Harry Judda, and the last track was as Judda.
Yeah.
Tell us why you do that.
Well, because it was House. A House was seen to do the thing where they put the normal name in front of it. So that's it. Right. It's just like Judda was drum and bass, Harry Judda was House, alias, essentially. So yeah, it was just as simple as that, really. Pretty lazy, but
okay.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, it's not always ideal because you kind of, people kind of turn up to expect a certain sound with that name.
Yeah.
You can kind of confuse the listener, so you might be better off creating a whole new A-list, especially like, even within house music, what I was doing is one day it would be like lo-fi house and next day it would be like banging techno. So under Harry Judda, I wouldn't really recommend people do that just because, as well as promoters don't know what they're going to book you for.
Yeah.
And you can say the listener, you can lose them. They won't follow you just because they don't know what they're going to get.
Yeah. And a lot of people say it'll confuse the algorithms of the different streaming services.
Especially nowadays, yeah. That's what I mean. So
because they really want to know what kind of bracket your listeners fit into, and that helps them feed your music out to these different listeners. And if they think if it's too wide a bracket, it limits your kind of promotion by the algorithm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. Especially because I was making such a varied sound within that one name. It's just it's got too confusing.
So music genre-wise, we just touched on a few there already. Make drum and bass. What do you say that is?
Well, they sort of brand it as tech house or techno. I don't really know. It's just bassy house, really.
Yeah.
It's just like it's all been my own take on stuff. So I think sometimes producers, when they make something out of their normal genre, can get quite good results just because it's slightly out of the box, slightly different.
And what tools do you use?
Mostly in the box. So Logic is my main sort of thing. Logic X. And I've done various synths over the years, but like I say, most of it's just kind of all inside the box stuff.
So what, do you use the Logic built-in synths, or do you use other synths?
Bit of Serum now and again. Lots of Arturia stuff. That's quite good for the houseier bits, but Serum's kind of more for the drum bass or those mid-range kind of sounds.
Yeah.
And random sort of distortion units and stuff like that. But I'm not really like a massive nerd with the whole gear sort of stuff. I know some people are really into it, but like I kind of just go with what I've got. And
you've got to know it well.
Yeah,
you know what
I think
the
some
ranges
people
are.
complicate it and just buy loads of stuff, and it's just like all the gear, no idea sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And what artists? I'll let you have a drink. What artists? Are there any artists who really inspired you, either to get going or even like now? Well, it's like the Prodigy. I'm glad there's some old people in, so otherwise I thought the youngsters probably didn't know who they were. Right, they're one of my biggest inspirations too. That's who I used to listen to on my Walkman at school.
That's it, because they're quite eclectic in terms of style, but obviously similar sort of vibe, but in terms of like tempos, quite different, so I think that quite inspired me quite a lot, and like as a youngster, I really loved them.
Yeah.
I went to see them a few times, that's some of the best things I ever did.
Yeah, I saw them once. It was the most insane light show.
Yeah.
I've never seen lights flash that fast ever before.
Yeah, I was blown away when I was a little youngster going to see that. It's great. But yeah, apart from that, there's lots of sort of drum bass acts and stuff, and old school legends, Andy C, and the main sort of drum bass dons.
Cool. How do you get your music out there? The stuff you produce?
Well, through my own labels or...
labels? More than one?
Well, I've got 3 labels, yeah.
3 labels?
Yeah, so I've got one for house, one for drum bass, and one for down-tempo experimental stuff.
Is this a good time to maybe look at some graphics?
Yeah.
Let's cover each one by one. So, we've got Drumfunk here.
So yeah, that's my own record label. Stuff like the vinyl.
And do you do this artwork yourself?
I don't do this lot, no, someone else does it, but
Okay.
I do bits of stuff for my own label, but the original design was from somewhere else.
And
But this is all the camo stuff.
Yeah.
Because, well, I'll get into that. Drumfunk is the name of my events brand. And it was all about camo styling, that the flyers and everything used to be camo, so that's kind of like, well, nearly 20 years later, we're just still stuck with it, because, like I said, it's just the branding and trying to stick with that sort of style.
Cool.
Yeah, dog tags, like I said, it's all kind of keeping that kind of military kind of theme.
Okay. Is there artwork from other labels here as well? What are the other ones called?
Just that liminal space one is just the, that's the...
So is this another alias of yours?
Yeah, sorry, Be Patient is another alias of mine, so I definitely didn't use Judda for that one, because that's so far different. It's very experimental and niche sorts of sounds, so this is like, it's slightly an art project as well, because I don't know if you're aware of like liminal space kind of settings and images. So a lot of it, I make the music to go with images, just to sort of create I've done it during lockdown when it was kind of like everything was empty and there's lots of empty buildings and stuff, and it kind of I was feeling a bit bleak about everything at the time, to be fair, especially with like nightclubs and things like that. So you just didn't know if you was ever going to get back to doing all that and what you loved. So I was kind of started writing miserable music. I say it's like more melancholy, but like, you know, to go with these kind of more sort of dystopian kind of feeling images.
Okay.
But I really like using them, but that's like, it's just, they're very loose, so it's not something you can really DJ out or anything, but it's just something I enjoy creating as a, you know, creative.
But you also make hip-hop, don't you?
I do.
And what artist does that go out under?
Well, nothing at the moment, that's just kind of like, I dabble and do a bit of that, but again, it's just, I enjoy making those because there's no expectations, kind of like the shackles are off, so.
Yeah.
And that's what I like, that's why I float between genres so much, just because I make drum and bass the least, just because people are expecting to hear, and you've got more pressure on it, which I end up using, like making different stuff, just because of that, just because you've got the shackles off, no expectations, and you just have a bit of fun with it. And that's what I did. I had a challenge to myself. I made 10 tracks in 10 days, hip hop, a couple of weeks ago. You've probably seen some of them.
Yeah, I heard them. Yeah, cool. Quite varied again.
Yeah. Again, I like all sorts of hip hop too, but I'm not really massively like a big listener of it these days. So it's just kind of like your own take. I might have been well off the mark with it all, but like again, if people liked it, they liked it. And
Yeah.
quite a few people now ask for tracks to put lyrics down to. So hopefully.
So like MCs are contacting you.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's, I mean, if I can get a little EP from that and then see what happens, again, I'll probably do it under a different name again.
So imagine so let's talk about using one of these labels as an example. How did the tracks get from your hard drive onto like Spotify, YouTube, streaming globally? What's the process? Yeah,
so I mean, like the liminal space stuff, for example, that I'd go and get it mastered by someone, like from my own, from my hard drive, and then get it back and then I send it to my distributor, which is...
So you've mixed it?
I mixed it.
Final mix, and you give it to someone else to master.
Yeah.
And the mastering stage, when you basically sort of make everything, you make sure it's balanced to sound good on all speakers. Sometimes you make it as loud as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Probably less so with the liminal.
Put a bit of shine on it, really.
Yeah. And then?
So then I sent it to, I've got a distributor called Labelworks, and they take care of like the distribution to all the digital outlets. So like it go on all the major streaming and download platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Beatport, and all that. And then they sort of take care of it, but then they take sort of 20% of the earnings from it.
Right. So one upload to them, and it goes to everyone else, kind of automatic.
Yeah. You schedule it in, and then obviously you've got to sort out your own programming and promotion and stuff for it.
And on your labels, do you only release music by yourself or by other artists as well?
No, I mean, predominantly it's lots of me, but I want to get more and more people involved. That was the original idea. It wasn't just for me. So like-minded artists. I'm always looking out for new music and artists that would be up for releasing on any of those labels. I'd be more than happy.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah.
Submit your tracks.
Yeah, hit me up.
So this is a big question.
Yeah.
What does success mean to you, and would you say you've achieved it?
Yeah, success is kind of, people see it differently. And being within music, people that are not kind of see a music artist, if you're not performing on main stage Glastonbury or on the TV, as you're not successful, where it's like, it's much more complex than that. And lots of people don't want to be in the limelight, and like I'm quite the same. I'd rather, if I could, I'd rather just be working in the background and make a living out of doing that. Some people do like being in the limelight, but scratch me for service. There's lots and lots of people who are making a good living out of music and are happy, happy not being known by anyone, and that's just how it is. But like for me, I've had some good points, definitely, but really it's down to it pays my bills and I'm happy with what I do, and I think that's what the success is for me. But that being said, I still reckon I've got one more peak left in me. But yeah, we'll see.
I mean, we're always learning. We're always
exactly.
In a way, like the older you get, the more you learn, the more I'd say.
And the amount that I have learned in the last 20 years, as like I say, now I teach old people what to do. It's like I would do it differently how I did 20 years ago. So, you know, you've got to give yourself a better chance now.
Totally. I mean, I know I'm not actually, I've been making music 25 years. I've only done about 7 or 8 releases. Well, most of my releases in the last 4 years. And each one I do differently because each one I learned from the last one.
Yeah.
And I've been off certain things and I try other things and I maybe don't spend money on one thing and I spend it on something else and then I'm able to measure the results.
That's it. It's this one massive trial and error, isn't it, as you go along? That's it always has been for me. So you just kind of like always honing in with what works and what doesn't.
So yeah, then on that topic, what's your next release going to be? Have you got anything scheduled?
I've got one. I just had one come out on my Liminal Space label. That was the week before last, and then I've got another one, a tech house one, next Friday, which is on a label called This Ain't Bristol.
Sick. Well, can we hear the Liminal Space one? What's it called? Is it on YouTube?
It should be.
It should be on.
I haven't actually looked at it, but
Label Works should have put it out.
yeah, Roadside Flowers EP.
Roadside.
Just be patient.
Flowers. B.
But yeah, that's.
There you go.
But let's have a look. What else is on there? A minute.
There's already a slow and reverb mix up there.
Yeah, I did 2 mixes on them as well because I don't know. It seems to be a thing where people slow down.
Probably this one.
Tracks. Yeah, it is all it. But there was one particular track I was going to play up, which is a bit more friendly than the others. Yeah, play that Truth one.
Truth. Edit.
Yeah, well, I'm still in the process of doing that.
What promotion did you do?
Well, at the moment, it's just I've not been doing lots of pre-promotion until it actually drops. So I think it's kind of in a day and age where people don't really want the teasers, just want to like be able to push a button and hear it straight away.
Yeah, I've heard that said in a few places now.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's the way I've kind of been doing lots of the releases now. It's not doing a lot of this. Back in the day, do a big lead up to it, 2 months worth of like posters.
Trying to get all the pre-saves.
Yeah, and all that, but I just think people want it then and now. If it's not available, they just lose interest in it and move on. So, like I say, when it comes out, I'll promote it then, put some money to sponsors and know.
So what do you use? What sponsors do you use?
Instagram and Facebook, really. I'll go and promote that with, like I say, with static images and just music, it don't really happen. So you need to like create a bit of a motion graphic around it, which like you can use AI and things like that to at least sort of captivate it a bit more, and engage the eyes. Otherwise, like I say, people want a bit more for their engagement.
Yeah. So you're making video clips.
Yeah.
And then you're promoting them. You're like putting money behind Facebook ads, Instagram ads.
Yeah.
Any other platforms?
Well, I'm going to do one on YouTube. I don't know much about it, but YouTube's one of the better places right now to sort of promote your music. So, but it's a little bit untapped for me, so it's something that's a bit of a learning process right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks a lot for all that info on the music. We're now going to jump into event promotion, which you've already touched on a little bit.
Yeah.
Why don't we just sort of talk about the most recent event that you ran? Have we got the flyer for that here? Or is it a specific event you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, the last one was a couple of weeks ago. That was at the fire station. That is Drum'n'Funk, my events brand, which has been going. It's not what, yeah. It was a couple of weeks. That was in February. That one.
All right.
That was cool. So it's just the artwork. I do the artwork, so those bits. Yeah, so the events brand has been going, it's 19 years old next year, which absolutely blows my mind.
Wow.
It's like some of the kids that are going now weren't even born on the first one, which is pretty scary. But yeah, I still love doing it, like nearly 2 decades later, and it's mad to see. Both this year's event's been really good and really busy, and they've no idea who I am anymore, which is great. So it's like a bit of a ghost these days. Yeah, but those last 2 ones the last one in particular, we experimented, started at 5 p.m, did it till 11 p.m, because as well as me getting in bed before midnight, lovely. People seem to be shifting more towards sort of day parties and things like that. So we were seeing what it was like starting at 5 and then finished at 11. It was good. I was worried that no one's going to turn up from the first 2 hours, but straight away people were turning up, so I actually got into that kind of day.
So that was at the old fire station?
Yeah.
How much were the tickets?
They were between 10 to 15 and it's 20 on the door.
Okay, and what's the capacity?
1,200.
1,200?
Yeah.
And then how many do you sell?
That for the February one, it's sold out.
Sold out?
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is our best one for
like how much, was that in advance sold out, or you hit capacity once it opened?
Yeah, we pretty much sold out before. We held back about 50 tickets for the door.
So you won?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that's the promoter's dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, it's not always that rosy, fortunately. And the last one was all right. We didn't sell it out, but like I say, I'm always put us instead to the risk be minimal. So we did all right. It was a good party. We had the decks in the middle, so it's a 360, which is a new gimmick people are like at the moment. So it's just like the DJ decks are in the middle of the dance floor and then everyone's around it. So it creates quite a good energy.
Have you got any photos of that one? Or?
No, I did. There was a video. I did send you, but yeah. Because we had some videographers here do some bits, but
okay. Is there anything on YouTube from any of these, you reckon?
Probably not. Just the Instagram.
Yeah. I'll have to log in. Okay, sound. That's really good. And do you just do drum and bass events? Or do you like other sort of tech house events as well?
I have done in the past, but drum and bass is still that kind of stalwart for me.
Yeah.
Done over the years. And,
but you know what you are with it, don't you?
Exactly, yeah.
You're established, the brand's established.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Your relationships are there.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Bournemouth institution these days, John.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of it as well. It's,
And I'm guessing, so this is like insider chat, when you book these drum and bass artists, you're not paying them what they would quote someone else if they came like through their agency. You're getting like a slightly better rate, maybe.
Yeah, I'm stubborn, so.
You're stubborn.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time, and only like you see the new promoters in town, they're getting the pant pulled down with prices. I'm like, oh. Yeah. But I've been there. It's still part of the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, and most of them want to play for us, so.
Yeah, they want to be there.
You kind of still got the hold the cards sometimes. So.
Yeah.
As long as you meet them somewhere in the middle, like most of them will try and take it to the cleanest in terms of budgets, but you just got to be a bit more savvy about it and get a good deal for yourself.
And then, what's the biggest capacity event you've ever run?
Well, I said we do the 1200 there. We're always on the lookout for bigger venues, but they kind of run the risk. And lots of time, like we're looking for venues around town, and the council often not up for it, so because there's lots of licensing you have to jump through.
Right.
We've been involved in festivals and things like that, where we had like 2K plus sort of stages and things like that, and then really good. But like, you know, we don't have to do much of the hard work with that. Someone else is.
Yeah, they've kind of sold the tickets. You're
So
curating.
we've been quite humble with how we've done it, kind of happy with what we do. We've tried it in different towns and stuff, and sometimes it's hard to like work and kind of get burnt. So we know what we do and it works, and it's just kind of not rocking the boat there.
And tell me about a potential catastrophe or disaster that maybe happened on one of your nights that you managed to avoid or not avoid.
Yeah. The fire alarm went off on New Year's Eve at 5 to midnight. Yeah, at the fire station. And we had to count down.
At the fire station?
Count down in the car park.
Oh.
It was horrendous. I could hear it going off. It was about 5 minutes to 12 and everyone was getting ready. I had this like confetti cannon getting ready. And then I was just like, that sounds like the siren. I was trying to block it out. I was like, I hope no one hears that. And then that was it. All the lights were up. You just like flood doors open. Everyone's bailing out. I was just like, oh, this is literally the worst thing that could happen. Yeah. We thought, because there was another drum bass night in town the same night. It was like, of course, we thought there's some sort of conspiracy going on. They'd come in and hit the fire alarm, but it's apparently someone smoking upstairs in one of the artist rooms or something that set it off. But yeah, it was pretty horrendous. So yeah, that was it. Countdown in the car park, and then everyone's back in.
Cool. All right. So we're now going to talk about the nightclub management side of things. So you previously managed the Vault. Why did you take this role, and how long were you there?
I was there for about 2.5 years, but we were supposed to open in 2020. Then obviously hit fan, so yeah, it was kind of delayed. But yeah, it was someone I'd been working for a long time. So I'd done all sorts of roles in nightclubs, from glass collecting right through to being a GM. So
GM, general manager.
General manager, yeah. A lot of stuff, even like events managers or promotion manager and things like that. So I was kind of in good stead in my mind. It was a bit daunting to take it on. It was a step up for me, but you know, I'd done it all before, so kind of just cruised into it and yeah, did all right. And you know, it's starting a new club in town. It's hard to get it onto the map for, you know, for ravers' radar, let's say. But you know, I'm proud we did a good job there.
Okay. And then we talked about it earlier. You left mainly because of the late nights.
Yeah, it's just I just wanted to do something different this year. I mean, I was there every weekend. I never missed a night it was open. It's just like this year I kind of wanted to try do something different. And like I say, I ain't getting younger. So. And
would the nights always end at 2 a.m? Was it later?
No, it was late. Yeah. So some of them were 5, 6. Sometimes we'll get out till 7.
So you give me out. So what time are you going to bed?
Yeah, like 7, 8.
Get in bed at 7, 8 in the morning.
Yeah, it's no good for me these days. And you'd be tired all week, you know what I mean, from that. And that's like literally yawning and fall asleep everywhere. It's just, it's quite hard, that work. But like I say, it was enjoyable at the time, but I don't think, especially for health-wise, you should probably do that for that long. And that's another reason I thought, you know what, you know, I'm 40 now, so I'm going to take it easy.
So you didn't switch into like a totally different rhythm? Just keeping the kind of late, like early morning bedtime and midday rise. While you doing that job?
No, I was trying to be good still. It was like my missus gets up, you know, normal. She's in a normal routine, so like I was trying to sort of withstand that a bit, but then you end up pretty tired all the time. Yeah, because you're trying to sort of. You know, I was all well and good when I was in my teens, getting up at midday, but like not anymore.
Okay, and then we're sort of coming to the end now. So tell us about Trademark, artist development. Tell us about what you do, really.
Yeah, well, like I said, just moving on.
Maybe use some artists as an example as well.
Yeah, moving on from the club stuff, like I say, just wanted to sort of have a more of a week job. I was sort of focusing more on doing the client stuff with mentoring. And I was kind of like, what am I going to do, sort of thing. And obviously, I always had that in the background that I was doing, but now I sort of pushed it to the forefront and trying to take on more clients. And it's just trying to spread the knowledge that I already had. It's like, I've done it for so long, I might as well, use it in a positive way to other people. So, like I say, I get a lot out of helping. Well, I really like taking on new artists just because you can provide lots of value to them. Obviously, like yourself and other people have been in it quite a long time. But, I take on people old and new, but like I say, the new people I really enjoy just because like they get lots out of it.
So big impacts fairly quickly.
Yeah.
When they do what you asked them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of varied in what they need. So some people want help with their music production or getting records signed or their social media. Some want help with it all. That's the ones I really like doing. So. Like I say, it's just providing that value for them. I really enjoy doing, especially when you see it working for them.
Should we show your website maybe for Trademark Music?
Yeah.
What is the address again?
Trademarkmusic.uk.
Trademarkmusic.uk. And these are some of the artists that you've worked with or managed? Or?
Yeah, like I say, they come and go. So it's sometimes you can only provide for them for so long until they know what they're doing and can go and do their own thing. Then, which is fine. So most of them, because it's a monthly subscription, whereas there's some like Johan S. He's quite a big house DJ. So we'd take 20% of his income in that case. So if they're like gigging a lot and stuff like that, we kind of work the fees a bit differently. But yeah, mostly.
So an interesting segue between management, agency, but also more hands-on.
Yeah.
Because normally your manager they give you some career advice, but they wouldn't necessarily help you develop as an artist.
Well, I think that was like what was a bit different about me doing it, where it's not really corporate led, where some of them are a bit more like that, whereas I'm still doing it as well myself, so it's kind of like that was a plus point to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, because look, most people kind of get a manager when they're doing so much that they can't keep track of it all. They can't keep track of where their bookings are, and all the logistics around travel, equipment. Also, like, where are my rights? Who's got the rights to my music? Oh, this person wants to use this track for an advert. Do I even have permission to do that? Who's that signed to? And then you have a manager who kind of does those conversations.
Yeah.
The manager has the ugly conversations. He wants $5,000 or he's not playing.
Well, that's it. Lots of artists don't like to talk about money, which is fair enough. So if you get someone else to do it, it's a bit easier.
And also, lots of labels don't like talking to artists about money.
Yeah.
And which is actually quite fair, because business to business, they don't want the artist to think that they're devaluing them. So it's much better in some cases if the artist actually can be insulated from that whole process. As long as the artist gets what they want, they tell their manager what they want. It's their manager's job to go and get it.
Sure. Yeah.
Wicked. All right, well that's the end of my questions. Opening to the floor now, if anyone's got any questions for Harry or anything they'd like him to explore in any more detail.
When did you start making music?
It's over 15 years ago now. But like it's kind of gone in phases where I do a lot of it or not. Sometimes, we have a few years more dormant, and then sometimes you're a bit more inspired and do lots. It's like, again, it comes down to workspaces as well. Like I moved house a lot, and sometimes that disrupts your kind of flow. Ideally, you have somewhere good set up in your house, and I know I've lived in flats and your neighbours not feeling that at all. I mean, I was banging kick drum for 12 hours of the day. It's not ideal, is it? But yeah, I mean, at the moment I've got my office and a dedicated room to it, so I'm in a good place there to do it. But yeah, it's for a long old time.
Going on from that, would you say you've ever had like burnout with your music, and how have you got out of that?
Yeah, probably. I think towards the end of my house era, I felt a bit like that, where just because the market got really oversaturated, and I just wasn't feeling it as much anymore, and I had to move away from it. And that's again kind of moved away from production maybe for a year or two until you can find something that gets inspired to again. Because that kind of happened where I just kind of lost interest of what I was making. For some reason, something switched in my brain, just like, that was it. And then, like I say, it could be just like a burnout thing, just doing way too much of it. So you do have to do a lot that goes all around. Like, there's lots of mundane jobs that happens around music too, which people don't see. And that's like, the clients that I do, it's like, you've got to commit to the mundane jobs.
Tell us about what kind of mundane jobs are we talking
Well, it's just
about?
like content creation and just like all things like that, do you know what I mean? Or just learning. It's like I was trying to tell them to dedicate just at least a couple of hours a week to just box off that time. If they're not feeling creative, learn like a new synth or tutorials or do some content creation or stuff like that. It's like, you know, you're not always going to feel like you can make music. So, I mean, it'll be inspired to just force it into a little box, but then, you know, some people need to box off that time a week, because otherwise they're kind of like overwhelmed by when should I do this or whatever.
I mean, speaking about content creation is a really good point. So you're posting pretty regularly on Instagram, isn't it, mainly? Do you have a strategy? What's your sort of thinking behind that?
Yeah, as I'm not really like a releasing music artist like I would be 10 years ago or so I'm not so fussed about it. It's more of a hobby to me now to get the music out there, whereas like I'll try and get people to have a bit more strategy in their sort of programming of content creation. Obviously I make some silly stuff as well and put my label tracks to it, and the silly stuff gets more views, annoyingly, but that's just how it is. Like you put a picture of a cat up and you get loads of love, and put a picture of your album artwork and no one's interested. But that's just how it is. But yeah, I think you've got to try and have some sort of strategy always these days. If you can find something that you can post regularly, a format that you can, that you're comfortable with, at least once a week, twice a week, that's sort of a really good thing to do. Like I'm starting to talk about old tunes from when I was at school, and that's just like something to keep the engagement up on my page. It's quite a niche thing, but I find it easy to talk about, so it's not really a stress for me to keep creating it.
Yeah, you're not like sitting there going, oh, what should I do?
Exactly, and that's
just
what
think, cool, here's 10 tunes.
Yeah.
I know I can talk about them.
Yeah.
I know there'll be interest in them.
Yeah.
I know it's going to work for my audience.
Exactly. That's what I think you've got to find, and not force yourself into something that you don't really know about or want to do.
Yeah.
Find something you're natural with.
Yeah. Epic. Okay. Any more questions from the floor?
I've got two questions, that's all right. So you've got like multiple aliases.
Yeah.
Say you've got booked and two of your different aliases got booked on the same event. So I mean you get like double the pay for it as well.
I'd need a hologram of myself. Yeah, I mean that's the tricky part. If you do, obviously, if you're in a duo, like Chasing States or something, you get double booked. One you do the other gig and you'll do the other. But yeah, for me, I'd choose the one that's more money.
Oh, fair enough. And then the second thing, I saw like some of your music on YouTube as well. Prior to it, there's like adverts. Do you get to have a say in what those adverts are like advertising? Is it some off-brand of what?
No, that's just decided by them. Yeah, whatever algorithm sort of. Yeah, I think there is ways you could do it, but like as I say, my YouTube is generally untapped. I need to sort of do the whole subscriber thing, and then probably your adverts will be more honed into your audience.
Okay.
There's a good point about the aliases. A lot of artists that have a band, say, will also DJ.
Yeah.
And so when the festival books them, there'll be like a package. So they get what they want first, what they asked for, the performance. Then they might also get the person DJing later in the weekend, kind of a discount rate from what they normally charge. And I know quite a few promoters as well who, once they've booked you for a festival, they'll try and get you to play somewhere else on the festival for free.
Right, okay.
And most bands will actually do it because they want the exposure and they want more people to see them. They'll do like their main slot, 10 p.m. on a stage, and then they might do like an acoustic stage or something else at like midday, or they might play in one of the bars. So often the bars are huge, they'll have a stage 2,000 people might hear them, or they're getting a pint, and it's just a new way to get exposure.
I think with festivals as well, most of the time they're going to be staying there for a couple of days, aren't they? So
yeah,
just kind of do multiple gigs whilst they're there.
Okay.
Especially if it's like a festival that they want to be at, where they want to like soak it up and enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're at Glastonbury, stay there a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any more questions?
You've made a career out of doing what you love, which is what we all aspire to, in different ways. We've got lots of young people, they're not all here this morning, who come along to AIM and would love to have a career in creative arts in some shape or form. And they're all talented talented young people. But I know, and we all know, that there are lots of talented people out there who haven't managed to fulfill their aspirations or make a career.
Yeah.
And it's not because of their talent, it's because of something else. And so my question would be, speaking especially to the young people in the room, aside from talent, what is it you would say that is needed to eventually create a career which pays the bills but also really fulfills you?
Yeah, I think you've got to have some sort of unique selling point as an artist as well, as something that stands out. Also invest in yourself a bit. Like, that's something I wish I did a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, I was kind of always a bit reluctant to do so, but like in any sort of shape or form, whether it's getting help or buying a new instrument or something like that, I think you know, like I say, investing in yourself as an artist is really going to help. But yeah, like you say, there's so many people trying to do it, which is the hard bit. So I mean, there's 100,000 tracks released every day on Spotify. So you've got to think about that and how you're going to shine through. But like I say, that's what I try and help people out these days, and like realise when the opportunities comes along and when to take them and what to do. But yeah, it's not easy. I have to make lots of sacrifices. There's been lots of parts of my career I've been very skinned, so that's just part of the process, really.
So don't give up too early.
Yeah, exactly. I've just been relentless. Maybe I'm stupid, but
I mean, my response to that would be to like have some kind of system where you're like, you kind of have a 1 year approach at least. You've got a bit of a plan.
I think, it's taking smaller steps, you know, and being more realistic, and then, you know, not getting, some people get itchy feet or expect things too quick and get impatient. You have to have patience. That's a big part of being a music artist, for sure.
Yeah. Be patient.
Be patient.
Exactly. That's what it's about. Yeah.
It's great. Thanks for coming, Harry.
Cool. Yeah, nice one, Harry. Thank you very much.
I hope I didn't pull the pants off. It's just me rattling on.
It's great.
You said next Friday, that's when tracks come.
Oh, yeah, tell us about that. Yeah, the next release.
Again, that's a Harry Judda release.
Harry Judda.
Yeah, so that's like tech house, which is it's a bit like that Scarlet track that I played. It's more down that sort of line.
Yeah.
But that's on a label called This Ain't Bristol. I released on about 7 years ago. It's a long time since I've last released them. I played a wicked gig. I played in Hanover in Germany. Played for them. It was one of the best gigs of my life there. And yeah, that is out next Friday, so I'm quite excited to drop that, because again, it's just like it's another label doing the work as opposed to me. So that's the advantage of, well, it's nice to do your own labels and do, because you've got control over the artwork and the release schedules and your content. Whereas like a bigger label, you're going to reach a lot more eyes straight away. It's more established, and you know it's going to do you more favour short term for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm quite excited to get that out.
So everyone make sure you follow Harry. Harry Judda, Instagram.
A couple of air fry recipes.
And I think, we might end with an air fry video. With one of Harry's hallmarks. Oh, I've got to log in. Oh, God.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you can watch the air fry videos in your own time.
Yeah.
Nice one, Harry. Thanks a lot, mate.